Mm-hmm.
Oh, I burped so loud. Oh,
Nice.
It went through my nose.
And then we're doing the thing.
Then
Are
we
we
kill
doing the
Roz.
thing? I think we're doing the thing.
What do we say here? Avanti?
Yeah, if you could introduce the podcast in Italian.
Buonasera, benvenuto a well, there's your problem.
Tom Payne's gonna get so mad at us in the comments.
My Italian now runs out.
Pizza, salami,
prosciutto,
Cinquecento.
Normally, I would be shot for being Italian.
Mussolini, right? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Clara Petacci, and welcome to.
And the sound of a PPSH firing in the background.
Clara Petacci, Nicolina Bombacci, welcome to Well, There's Your Problem. It's a podcast with slides
about engineering disasters.
Also, if they wasn't killed with a PPSH, I don't fucking care. Don't get weird in the comments.
I'm Justin Rosnick. I'm the person who's talking right now. My pronouns are he and him. Okay, go.
I am she and her and fuck. Yeah, no, I fucked that up, didn't I? I was trying to think of I am she and her. I am the pronouns. I have a name. I have a name.
She and her, and my pronoun is Alice.
That's right. I am Alice Caldwell Kelly. I was trying to think of what my pronouns would be in Italian, and then it just crossed a wire in my brain. But my pronouns are she and her. Fuck you.
Complete short circuit.
Hi. Stop talking. I'm Liam Anderson, and my pronouns are he and him.
So, what you're seeing on the screen here is an ocean liner.
But
you may notice it is not in a great orientation. It's not in a very good situation. I want to avoid this situation.
Oh, an MAS-38 is what killed Mussolini, allegedly.
Okay. But this is lying on its side in the water, which is not where a boat wants to be.
No, you want to be upright in the water, ideally. This is not deep water, but it is deep enough.
Yeah, well, you can drown us also, right?
Exactly. Today we're going to talk about a disaster I've wanted to do for a while now. The Andrea Doria.
Ooh, okay.
Which was, of course, the. You sound surprised, even though you helped do the slides.
It's called artifice. You don't have to always show them. You have to pull back the curtain all the time.
I'm going to pull back the curtain constantly. There is no curtain in this podcast.
It's like a translucent, like a shower curtain, you know?
I've heard of suspension of disbelief, and I want nothing to do with it.
I've heard of podcasters who attempt to edit and polish, and, they're cowards.
No, this is raw.
That's right.
You get what you get.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We hate you. And we want you to know we hate you. You ever go to one of those all-inclusive resorts in the Caribbean where if we would thrive there. We'd poison your food every other night. The jazz band would be shot as they performed.
Normally, I would be shot for being Italian.
I am obligated to like Italians, as my future mother-in-law is Italian. So
there you go.
But I still make fun of her for it.
We have one pro-Italian person on the spot.
I'm not pro-Italian.
I don't know. I've been watching. I'm pro-Italian. I've been watching this Italian cop show, Il Cacciatore. A girl on there with the most fantastic Roman nose I've ever seen in my life. So I'm pro-Italian too.
Yeah, I think we're actually all pro-Italian. That's the issue. We make fun of them, but we like them.
Bella Ciao, banger.
This is Italy month.
That's true.
There's your problem.
When the room hits your eye. When the moon.
Italian month may not be an actual month, is the thing.
It is for us, so shut up.
Yes. The plan that I have sort of tentatively devised is that we're going to do Italian disasters until we run out or get bored. And
when the bow hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's MS Stockholm.
Atrocious.
Yes.
Beautiful.
I apologize.
No, you don't.
Fuck them.
Before
what do I see on the screen in front of me?
Before we talk about
did that bit.
Andrea Doria, we have to do the goddamn news.
Donald Trump I
think it's very unfair They went after Donald Trump just for taking stuff from work.
Yeah, everyone does that.
You should take stuff from work, right? It's good. You should do it. You know, right here on my desk, I have a tape measure I got from work, right?
Well, how did you get it?
Donnie from Queens, he got nuclear codes. There's
I was gonna
nothing different between us.
Does that contain nuclear information? Because the FBI have raided Mar-a-Lago.
It has numbers on it.
Close enough.
Numbers on it, which is the same thing as the nuclear codes.
Well, for a while, the code to fire all the nuclear weapons was 0000000.
That's true.
That's
that
not
was
a joke.
Lyndon Johnson thing.
Yeah. Admin 1.
What are the purpose
Password,
of these codes?
yes.
I'm the president. I should just be able to say, launch the nukes, and they do it.
That is such an
you
LBJ thing. Just be like,
that
no,
was actually a Nixon thing.
You should have to kill the intern who has the codes implanted in their chest cavity.
Yeah, but right now they were implanted in Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump's beach house, and the FBI got a warrant, and they went in and took a bunch of documents. So Trump has now got his people trying to call to abolish the FBI, which is very funny.
Yes.
It'd be funny if they're gonna pass on Fred Hampton and Martin Luther King, but this is the thing that does for them. To my mind, this is good. I enjoy the fact that there is a near certainty now at this point that Donald Trump is going to get arrested off of this shit.
Yeah, he's not going to go to jail. You don't want to break the Espionage Act. I will say that. Of all the laws we have, many of which are stupid, the Espionage Act, you probably shouldn't break that one.
What he's accused of breaking in the meantime is the Presidential Records Act, which is... I mean, I have a friend in the National Archives, and apparently the vibe there right now is a very serious sort of federal, the Presidential Records Act is no laughing matter, sir, kind of vibe.
I'm just glad that even as a private citizen, Donald Trump can do something this funny.
That's true. That's true. That and the like statements that he's made about it.
They're top notch. I will say, do not give him his Twitter account back because it's funnier to watch him have to squeeze this through true social statements.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, he was just taking stuff home from work, and the current sort of like defense position is he was declassifying stuff in his mind when he took it out of the office.
I can't do that.
I was rotating the documents in my mind.
And if it's nuclear stuff, you specifically, I believe by statute, cannot declassify nuclear material.
No, but that's the idea, and it's admittedly it's stupid. Admittedly, it's wrong in its face. Is it going to stop 5 Supreme Court justices from
6 Supreme Court justices?
Yeah, exactly. Of course not.
Someone's going to adopt the position in neutrality as like a posturing thing.
Roberts.
I will say I saw a very stupid take by someone who I will not name.
Name him.
That was Matt Chrisman. Fuck it. We're doing Chapo beef again.
All right, let's go.
If he took the nuclear codes and they changed them, that's no big deal. And it's like, A, nuclear documentation, nuclear codes aren't the same. That's on its face wrong. And B, come on, man. Like, no, we shouldn't be leaking the nuclear codes.
Like, aren't you supposed to be the smart one?
I'm gonna agree with Matt here. Basically everyone knows how to make a hydrogen bomb. It's not like super hard. Like
it's
North
the
Korea
materials,
figured it
it's the
out.
processes involved.
Yeah, and like the capability and shit.
Right.
Yeah,
I believe you make some plutonium. Done.
Friend of the show, Swocialism / your himbo boyfriend, I believe, pointed out that it's an incredibly complex step. You don't just need a facility capable of enriching uranium. You don't just need a facility capable of whatever else. You don't just need, and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
but
and like the stuff.
If you're violating the Espionage Act, no matter how funny he is on Twitter, they should nail his dick to the floor.
Yeah, because the thing is that like the command and control of this stuff is quite literally radioactive, right? It should be miles away from anyone finding out about it. And you know, I was worried about this when Trump got elected. I'm still worried about it now. Doesn't preclude me from making jokes about it, but yeah, it's very bad.
All right, I'm gonna build a hydrogen bomb in my basement.
You do that.
Just to prove you all wrong.
With all the chemicals that you will go in the basement now. You're just like, oh, there's too many chemicals down there, and I don't know what they are. But you're going to build.
No, I do know what they are. That's why I don't go down there.
There you go. There you go. So you're a fucking pussy.
I stand by the chyron that I put on this. The FBI would not have had to raid Mar-a-Lago if the National Archives could do it itself. Every organization, every bureaucracy,
900 federal police departments.
Yeah, exactly.
Just give the National Archives one.
Every sort of like organ of the federal government grows cops on it like mold, and I will collect their patches and challenge coins. And I'm missing a National Archives one. I think we got to have a top tier tactical unit for the National Archives.
But then you'll get mad at us and accuse Alice of being a cop, but she's not, so shut the fuck up.
You're going to accuse Alice of being a cop, and that's the most horrible thing you can think of, when I will soon be a hydrogen bomb owner.
Yeah, that's right. Not just a cop, but specifically an archive cop. You know, because that's the thing, right? I genuinely think the more niche your cop job is, the more justifiable it is. If your job is stop people violating this one rule, that's a better starting point than go out and look for people who are violating rules in general. So like, I don't oppose the existence of the kind of cops who guard the nuclear energy stuff, right? Or I don't know, hell, even like the IRS cops, the FDA has cops, all of that shit. That's cool.
The USDA has cops too, yeah.
Yeah.
I was always sort of tickled by Mint Police.
You got the male cops?
Don't fuck with the male cops. Yeah,
98% conviction rate at trial.
That's like Japan levels.
Also, if you like, and I'm sorry, like 8cab, but if you punch a mailman, you get what's coming to you.
Oh yeah,
He's there to deliver your mail. They're there to deliver your mail. Don't mail anthrax. I don't know what to tell you. That's common sense.
Don't mail anthrax. Don't mail a hydrogen bomb.
You got to hand deliver that.
Yeah, you probably got to hand deliver. Well, no, usually people deliver them remotely.
Backpack nuke.
On Best Friends Day. Yeah.
Yeah. On Friends Day, yeah.
Yeah. So Donald Trump is almost certainly going to get arrested. He is also almost certainly not going to get convicted of anything. He's also got
the YouTube comments below.
He's also got the New York Attorney General probe going on into all of the extremely criminal ways he ran all of his businesses, which is going to be hysterical.
Yeah, that will be pretty funny.
Yeah.
Especially when they still don't do anything to him.
Yeah. They're just sort of a long, how dare you, sir?
How dare you?
He's learned his lesson. We're the idiots.
It's just going to keep the Mueller, She Wrote podcast going for a couple more years is what it's going to do.
I haven't insulted them, and I do want to take a moment to appreciate their grift when it was so obvious that nothing was going to come of that, and they were sucking down whatever. Was it like $500K a month at some point?
Something like.
They were much larger than Chapo, if I recall correctly.
We're a successful podcast, but like, no, I don't know. Stuff like that makes me feel like
I follow those Graphtreon rankings religiously. They were like number 10 or 12 for a long time, but they were never number 1.
I mean, all I have to say about this really is,
how dare you, sir?
Yeah,
because I got that from Clear and Present Danger.
Great movie.
I think we're at 18 now. So last podcast on the left, we're coming for you.
We have more patrons than Red Scare, so suck that shit, assholes.
Yeah, but all of them give them like $5 a month, and we're down to like a $2 a month thing. So
yeah, because we only release one bonus episode a month occasionally.
Yeah, we're not very good. We're not very good at the whole.
We're not very good at the thing, but at least we're not crypto fascists. That's our promise to you.
Yeah.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah, and one more thing before we get psycho commenters on Twitter and YouTube. I disagree with Matt Crispin. I don't hate the guy. Shut the fuck up.
Nice.
Fucking weird. You fucking weirdo lunatics.
All right.
Beep. Beep.
Go blow a tailpipe. I don't fucking care.
No podcast beef today.
Speaking of unresolved beefs.
Poor Salman Rushdie.
Salman Rushdie, man, they got his ass like the end of a mob movie. After 30 years in witness protection, he lets his guard down for one split second to give a speech about extremism, and a guy rushes the stage and stabs him in the fucking eye. Horrible shit.
That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. I wouldn't want to.
I haven't seen updates on his conditions since Saturday. Is he expected to live? I thought he was expected basically to lose the eye.
He's gonna live,
like
but he's almost
live,
certainly gonna lose the eye and like probably like the use of one arm. It's really bad.
That's terrible.
Okay. Now, I should know this, but I don't. Salman Rushdie is a fiction author.
Yes,
and everyone's
he wrote
very
the
mad at
Satanic
him
Verses.
for some reason.
Yeah, so he wrote this book, The Satanic Verses, which
Great
is
book, by the way.
I haven't read it.
You should. It's fantastic.
I've read other stuff of his before and not enjoyed it. And the sort of like bits and pieces, the quotes from the Satanic Verses that I've read, I didn't care for it. Essentially, like it's a very dense, very literary book that it's very postmodern, but in parts contains aspects of what I think strike me at least as like sort of gleeful provocation of not just like Khomeini, who was like was his enemy number one, was the guy who got him stabbed in this instance, but like Muslims in general and Islam. And it's a complex topic, right? Because everyone wants you as a Muslim to go, okay, well, you shouldn't stab a guy because he wrote a book making fun of you. And yeah, I will quite happily say that. You should not stab a guy because he made a book making fun of you. On the other hand, you're not obliged to pretend that there is no insult there, I think, is the thing. I think it's
we got a Charlie Hebdo type situation.
This is
almost exactly,
a disproportionate response, one might say.
Oh, certainly, yeah. In the same way that the Charlie Hebdo thing was, and yeah, you can put it, you can understand it as like someone who conceives this as part of a long train of abuses and usurpations and all of this doesn't excuse anything. But I think that's why you see this sort of insurgent, terroristic, like attempt on his life. And, now some of the worst people in the world, some of the most cynical people in the world, people who boosted his work, not because they cared about it or him, or certainly not freedom of speech, but who absolutely did have an axe to grind with Islam, are going to sort of, either have their own legacies tarnished or are going to use this for their own ends. I'm seeing people fucking rehabilitate Christopher Hitchens again, and that
boy.
Yeah, so
I was 14 once.
Yeah, so once again, terrorism kind of ruins it for everyone, I guess you could say.
I think that's fair.
I gotta say, as a future hydrogen bomb owner, don't do terrorism.
No, Roz is keeping this in his basement as a deterrent, of course.
Yeah, you're taking a strong sort of libertarian stance here.
This is very much a mutually assured destruction situation. It is not. I don't intend to use it.
It's like linked to your heartbeat, like what is that, Snow Crash?
That sounds good. I like that. Yeah. I'm going to do that when I build my hydrogen bomb. The FBI is not going to like this episode.
Hey, this is a great way for all of us to meet some federal agents, and and when I do, I can shake their hands and go, "Thank you for all you do. Do you have any patches or challenge coins?"
Oh,
so
yeah,
that's the long game that I'm playing here.
Note to FBI agents listening to this: I don't actually know how to build a hydrogen bomb.
Statistically, we've got to
do it.
I could barely refine some uranium hexafluoride.
You just spin it really fast, dude.
I think about this in the context of particularly Kill James Bond. We're at a point with an audience large enough. Statistically, we've got to have at least one listener who works for the FBI and is like listening to us recreationally, I should add.
Yeah.
I have posed this question a number of times to friends, which is, how many people away are we from being able to get a Ukrainian loose nuke?
3 or 4.
Oh my god, dude. Every sentence you say is another black Suburban parked outside your house.
I don't want to go to federal prison again, dude.
Just imagine
Like,
this sort of
every time with this shit.
novel length dossier that MI5 has on me, and it's just none of it amounts to anything. It's just so she fucking says some shit on the internet, huh? But every time you open your mouth, another fucking folio goes into that thing.
What we could do is
we're doing a jobs program for like domestic counterintelligence.
We could probably build a nuke, right? Like,
fuck me, running.
Do you think a washing machine spins fast enough to enrich uranium? Like, do you think we can overclock
the Israeli
a washing
Air
machine?
Force does a surgical strike on Justin's washing machine.
Not me, I'm Jewish. They'll just plausible deniability. I'll just be the Israeli embassy or consulate in Philadelphia, and I'll just store my nukes in Roz's apartment so I don't get yelled at.
Yeah. So, please do not
Do you still have
dawn
that
raid
FBI
any of us.
open up drop?
Yeah, of course I do. Luckily, it's not going to be the drop. This is just going to be like flatly what happens to Justin.
FBI, open up!
All right. Another
Horrific.
message to the FBI agents listening to this.
Hello.
I'm not actually going to build a nuke in my basement.
I'm going to build a
even my
nuke in his basement.
It's my landlord's basement.
Yeah, you have to get like written permission to enrich uranium in there.
Yes.
You know what's funny though? I could probably get us a Ukrainian loose nuke with enough badgering if I really wanted to.
I don't want a Ukrainian loose nuke. A Ukrainian use nuke.
I figured it would be like someone who was like one person removed from one of Alice's patch guys.
Oh yeah, that's true. If I bet my patch guy has like a nuclear weapons guy, but I don't ask because that's
I'm only here for the patches, right?
Yeah, yes, exactly. That's the kind of unspoken rule of the patch guys. Sergio, I love you. I'm never going to ask about the nuclear weapons.
That makes sense. I mean, the thing about owning a nuclear weapon is a lot like winning the lottery. You sometimes have a lot more problems than you thought it would solve problems.
Like radiation poisoning, Roz.
No, you store that shit properly, you're fine.
Okay, so I just want to point out that, Roz, the first time I built you a computer, you dropped the CPU and bent the pins, and you expect me to trust you to handle like fissile material.
It'll be fine.
It was fine. We had to unbend it with a mechanical pencil.
Oh,
exactly.
God.
I wonder how much of this I can leave in.
All of it.
About 2 minutes.
Actually, it would be funny if you cut it and just like left it in, but as one giant beep.
Oh, that is funny.
Oh, there are people who would be mad at us about it, but
yes.
Just instead of a beep, do some like elevator music.
I just want to point out that when you edit your Patreon from $3 to $2, I can see you do that.
Yes,
you cheap
and we may or may not own a Ukrainian loose nuke.
Plausible deniability, except when we're doing it.
Maintain a policy of nuclear ambiguity on this podcast.
Yeah, we may or may not own nuclear weapons.
Yeah, but at least we never assisted apartheid South Africa. Good for us.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we have a neutron bomb.
We could get a neutron bomb.
We got an Israeli neutron bomb.
We don't have an Israeli. We should move on.
All right.
Let's talk about a boat.
All right.
Talk about a boat.
Liam has confirmed we have a South African neutron bomb.
What is ocean liner? Discussed extensively in our Titanic episode. A ship whose primary purpose is to carry passengers across an ocean on a regular schedule. A few steamships existed by the 1830s, but the first purpose-built liner was probably SS Great Western. Designed by the Top Hat guy. God damn it, dude.
The Top Hat guy. Our boy Isambard Kingdom Brunel.
It was a paddle steamer with sails. All right, go.
Okay. Yeah, so ocean liners, like, what were they for? They were for lining the ocean.
They're for bringing immigrants to America.
Yes.
You take your guy out of Sicily and you put him on Ellis Island, and then he just stuff happens. It's fine.
Yeah, the voyage across the Atlantic was pretty arduous for a long time. It was just generally unpleasant.
It still is if you're bad at flying, to be fair.
But this is true. I don't like crossing the Atlantic. It's one of my least favorite things to do.
You just over nothing for hours, and
you can't look out the window. The movies on the plane suck. What else?
Hey, one thing though, if you queue up the little like map thing on a transatlantic flight, sometimes it has the position of shipwrecks on there, including this one that I've genuinely seen in the course of looking for maps for this. A thing that pinpoints its position on the like back seat screen of a plane.
Nice,
neat.
So there weren't really any ocean liners until like the 1830s, 1840s when they start to emerge, right? You needed like three major developments. You need steam engines, right? You need screw propellers, and then you need condensers. The condenser is the big one here because it made the steam engine much easier to maintain, because rather than running seawater through it, which meant there was just salty scale all over everywhere, you could just continue to recirculate the same fresh water through.
Wait, they ran them on seawater for a while?
Yeah.
That's
that was like the first 10, 20 years. And there were not a lot that ran like that because it was just not very good.
I assume it would destroy the propeller pretty quickly.
No, the propeller's in salt water all the time.
Oh no, what am I thinking of? I guess the rest
boiler.
of it. The boiler, yeah.
Yeah, you got a whole bunch of like nasty in there that you don't want to deal with. And like right?
you gotta have a very sort of pressure resilient boiler, and if you're just corroding the shit out of that with salt, then
right, yeah. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, your big like high power ocean liner style steam boiler is pretty temperamental about water quality. So you can't just run seawater in there unless there's like a serious problem. You just ran out of water entirely, and you gotta gun it.
Yeah, you're sort of like war emergency power thing, but for a steamship.
Yeah. Also, iron hulls helped a whole lot.
You get to do this once, kind of deal. Yeah.
By the 1840s, some of our familiar names start to form, stuff like Cunard Lines or the Peninsular and Oriental Steam Navigation Company. That's P&O.
One of my favorite entries in the "Do you know what this long since atrophied acronym originally stood for?" along with the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation, or HSBC.
Yes. The French line at this point. But running ocean liners, it was not necessarily a super reliable business. It was not. You ran a regular schedule. You had posted departure times, but not posted arrival times.
Right, because you get there when you get there.
You get there when you get there, yeah.
And it takes 2 weeks, 1 week?
I want to say in the real early days, it's probably 2 weeks. I have.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind is the thing. If ships, in particular, if coal burning ships weren't so fucking dirty, I would not mind spending 2 weeks or a week on a ship to get to New York.
It sounds like a nicer way.
We're bringing back rigid air ships.
Yeah, here's the thing.
Like that.
My main thing about traveling is two things. Thing one, I don't want to die screaming, or ideally at all. Thing two, I don't really want to go through a big transsexual detector that then goes off and makes a guy grope me. Planes definitely have two, and if not the statistical, then the because I do a disaster podcast, the emotional threat of one. I would quite like to do neither of those and just be on the nice fucking promenade deck for a while.
Well, yes, I mean, it would be nice to be able to take an ocean liner, especially since, all of the things you listed. Actually, I have looked at rooms on the Queen Mary too, and it's surprisingly affordable.
Yeah, they're not bad. The only downside is that you get put in sort of like what is a very, very small, essentially windowless hotel room.
Yes. I mean, but your other option is, you take you just book a economy seat on United. They throw you in a 777, which is the perfect airplane. It's
The thing is, right, doing this podcast has made me, it's given me a fear of flying. I never had one, but you fuckers have accidentally made me afraid to get onto an aeroplane.
Right? Yeah, no, flying is the worst.
Yeah, flying is terrible. It's like unpleasant. It's not unsafe. I mean, the 777 is, there have been like, it's had no accidents other than like stuff that was caused by like terrorism or MH370, which we still don't know what that was.
Terrorism.
Yeah, essentially.
Terrorism,
pilot, a new sort of like vertical for this stuff. Pilot gets weird with it, which has a sort of a spectrum that starts with that and ends with Andreas Lubitz.
Yes. Anyway, the general trend for a while with ocean liners, which are not airplanes, is you make them bigger, you make them faster, right? Safety was kind of a secondary concern. It was kind of like, well, you know, if she goes down, she goes down.
If it sinks, right?
What you gonna do? And that was sort of a secondary concern until, of course, Titanic smashed itself into an iceberg because they were speeding, right?
Yeah.
But you know this is after that, you know, you start having more concerns about safety, but it's still like, okay, make it bigger, make it faster, make it bigger, make it faster, right? And by the 1930s, planes started becoming a serious threat, but planes are still not a great way to cross the Atlantic at this point because of all the refueling. Right?
Yeah. Plus the capacity, you can fit like even a huge flying boat. You can fit a couple of dozen people in wicker seats.
That's because they gave them dignity back then.
Yeah, we can squeeze a lot more people in.
Yeah, we snuffed that out. Don't you worry.
The other thing about taking a plane, and particularly over an ocean in the 30s or earlier, is you would die. This is not a Alice is afraid of flying kind of thing. This is there is a decent chance you just disappear into a cloud bank and are never seen again.
You're just eating it. You're going full on Flight 19.
You're going upside down into the ocean.
You're going to get shot down by Amy McGrath. So yeah, we're making the ships bigger, making them faster. This is an ocean liner from 1897. This is the SS Kaiser Wilhelm del Grasse.
Oh boy,
close enough.
That's German. I don't speak German. But
it's German for King William the Great.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, apparently.
Okay, just checking. Yeah, it's funny how they won the war. Back-to-back World War champs, baby.
By the 1950s, we're at the peak of ocean liner design. This is the top tier ocean liners, right? Planes were still not better than ocean liners at this point because you were still, you know, you have these like, I don't know, a Lockheed Constellation, and it's like stopping over to refuel in like
stopping Gander.
Yeah, we've been there.
Gander. Yeah, I've been to Gander. Gander's. We went to
Jungle Gyms, bud.
Yeah, Jungle Gyms in Gander. Shout out to Jungle Gyms in Gander, Newfoundland.
I feel bad for all of these little places like, you know, Gander or Keflavik or Shannon that really like they had their time as sort of points of refueling. Yeah, and now.
So your air travel, it's expensive. It's still pretty slow, right? The planes are small. You're stopping many times to refuel. And ocean liners are still competitive into like the late 50s, right? You have major technological advances that kept these ships competitive with airplanes, right? So I would say this is the peak ocean liner right here. This is the SS United States.
Looks in great condition.
Looks
better here than it does right now.
Yeah, it looks better. It looks better afloat than it does sunk, which is what happened to its all its colleagues.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is the SS United States. It's moored right now near the South Philly IKEA. This was launched in 1952. It had an aluminum superstructure for weight reduction. It had steam turbines generating 240,000 horsepower. Its cruising speed was 35 knots. That's about 40 miles an hour.
Oof.
It had 10,000 miles of range. This was a serious This was a serious ship. It still holds the blue ribbon for it still holds the blue ribbon outright because the only ships that have made it across the Atlantic quicker have only done it one way.
And this was running like regular passenger service.
Yes.
Nice.
There's also a lot of aspects of its design that were classified, which is interesting.
Ooh.
Interesting.
They weren't declassified until like the 80s.
There's a lot of like shipbuilding expertise that would have gone into military applications that got into these, like, because a surprising number of these were like European ships that they started building pretty soon after the end of the war. Like the Germans were in on this, as we'll see, the Italians were in on this. We have all of these shipyards that are meant to be cranking out destroyers and cruisers that now kind of have nothing to do, and like, okay, fuck it, we'll do like a liner then.
Yeah, and at this point, ocean lining, it's serious business, but these liners, they're large, they're fast, they're luxurious for some people, and they're very safe. They're much safer than like your 1912 ocean liner, right? The lessons that were
they
learned.
learned from the mass casualty event, which has only ever happened, I think, once on the show in 115 episodes.
Yeah, they learned lessons, and they, generally speaking, did not unlearn them. Now, we have to talk about one particular ocean liner company, which was the Italian line, right? Italian line, of course, went from Italy to New York. And during World War II, the Italian line got hit pretty hard on account of they were the bad guys.
Normally, I would be shot for being Italian.
So their old flagship, which was the SS Rex, which was a blue ribbon holder, and I don't think I explained this I don't think I explained this earlier, but the blue ribbon was the award for the fastest transatlantic crossing. We had to go both ways, though. So this was a blue ribbon holder, and it was blown up by the RAF. And
Sucks to suck.
Yeah, and it rolled over in shallow water in a very embarrassing manner. And then
we
it caught fire
really
for 4
good
days.
at like kind of flying around the Mediterranean, knocking over Italian ships.
Yeah. This was it wasn't a complete total loss. We'll get into that in the next slide. Most of the Italian line's other ships were also blown up or sunk or otherwise rendered inoperable, which is a big problem if you want to run a regular schedule. You got to order some new ships, right? Now you can note here these are some, I believe, American B-17s right here, which are trying.
Interesting.
They're trying to blow up the ship, but they didn't do it. The RAF did it later.
Nice.
So anyway, here it is, rolled over and on fire. And they
taking the L.
it's gone poorly. That's gone poorly.
That's right.
It's not supposed to look like that.
Probably
shouldn't have been fascists. What
probably
do you want from
shouldn't
me?
have been fascist. You could have avoided this entirely.
Yeah, you can still have your boat. I'm nuts.
Yeah.
So the Italian line's first strategy here was they were going to try and refloat the boat and then salvage it, right?
It's very funny to me how like plausible that often is, that a boat is just like, it's a big fucking metal shell that like keeps the water out and retains buoyancy. And a lot of the time this happened with a lot of battleships that we sunk, for instance, if we're talking about Italians, where they sink in shallow water, you just fucking lift them back up again. You did it after Pearl Harbor too.
Yeah, you just throw a big pump in there, you're good.
Yeah. Real big though.
So this was actually probably salvageable, right? But they had parked it on a very tiny stretch of land, which is the coastline of Slovenia, near a town called Koper, right?
Koper?
Koper. Yeah,
it's down the coast from Seethe.
Yeah.
Yes. And the Slovenians, who were now Yugoslavs, right? They were just like, fuck you. And they
scrapped it. Oh, good.
It was said to be the largest iron mine in Slovenia for several decades.
I have some information for you about the previous slide, because I was curious about those B-17s. This is not wartime. This is pre-war. This is an exercise that the U.S. Army Air Corps did with the SS Rex to try and locate it at sea with bombers.
Wow.
To see if they could like independently intercept a ship. It's apparently, I'm reading here, a large part of the reason why the Air Force is a separate branch now.
Ah, interesting. I guess that would make sense why people are taking pictures.
Yeah. Also, it's not catastrophically on fire yet.
Yeah, largely fitted out in a passenger configuration as well. As a friendly encounter, as opposed to the later unfriendly encounter.
Which if we'll go back, sees the Italians taking just this massive L. Suck that shit, Umberto.
Yeah. So the Italian line is without most of their ships, so they got to start commissioning new ships. Right.
Yeah.
Which leads us to the new modern ocean liner of the 20th century, the Andrea Doria.
It's got nice curves. It's got nice lines. Very elegant.
It's a very good looking ship.
I like it. I like the front a lot, and the back is just like I'm a boat.
Yeah.
The front looks all like kind of swept and beautiful,
sort of like,
and the back is just like I'm a boat.
Same.
You can buy me a boat.
That's a great fucking truck bullet. You can buy me a Yeti 110 ice down with some silver bullets. Buy me a boat, Chris Jansen. Look it up.
Yeah, we're gonna get a copyright strike. Anyway,
I don't think. Thank you for the compliment.
So. Yeah. So Andrea Doria was this admiral from Genoa back in the 16th century, and a whole
bunch
bunch
they invented
of Italian,
jeans. That's where the name jeans comes from. They weren't invented in Genoa. I know. Shut up.
You said that in the last episode.
I know. It's called continuity. Maybe you should try it.
So far, it's not even Italian month. It's Genoese month.
Genoese month, yes. So lots of Italian boats have been named after Andrea Doria. I don't know very much about him. I was going to research
that. They had a battleship too, which I think we might have sunk, in fact.
That sounds about right.
We, the three of us, not the RAF.
With our hydrogen bomb. So, the Italian line, they needed a new flagship for the exciting new world of the 1950s, and they tried to do everything right. They contract Giovanni Ansaldo and Company of Genoa to build the thing, right?
Yeah, this is like a matter of national prestige.
Yes. And Ansaldo is, they mostly did trains, but at this point they had a shipyard. Okay, this is a modern ship. It had a double hull. It had enough lifeboats for everyone. It had 11 watertight compartments. It was thoroughly modern, right? The interior was designed by an architect named Giulio Minoletti. Also did a famous Italian train called the ETR 300 Settebello. Which I'll show a picture of later. But he's this sort of high modernist guy. He's one of the it's in that era where modernism is developing rapidly. It's sort of this is the era of the high modernists, right?
Nice.
We'll show some pictures in a second. So 218 first class passengers, 320 in cabin class, which is I guess second class. 703 passengers in tourist class. They could hold a total of 1,241 passengers. This is, for all the modernist accoutrement, there was a very traditional design. All of the classes were completely segregated from each other, right? You know, that meant it had 3 of everything and 3 lounges, 3 dining rooms, 3 outdoor swimming pools, which was a first. No ship.
Where's the robot bartender? Where are the robot bartenders? I don't see a rock climbing
I love
wall.
how that's the thing you remember as the robot bartender.
It's got like a old Italian robot bartender. It like runs on. It breaks down on the first day, and then they spend the rest of the voyage fixing it, and it works for like 30 minutes, like right before you pull into New York Harbor.
Pours you a single glass of Luxardo and then explodes.
So I got some contemporary illustrations at the time. I mean, this is an advertisement for the.
Ooh, that's elegant.
Yeah, it's really nice.
La più grande moderna veloce nave italiana.
Yes.
The greatest modern fucking fast ship of Italy. Interesting.
Look how fast it is.
Yeah, you really get a sensation of speed. Whoosh.
Zoom. This is the first class foyer. I think this is access to most of the first class areas. Maybe there's an elevator here.
They really weren't
sure.
kidding about that modernism. The lights and even just sort of like the chairs.
Yeah.
This is a very heavily designed ship here.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing has just been thrown on here. It's been like thought about.
It's Italian.
Yeah.
Here's the first class swimming pool. You see how
this some fucking return ass colorization though.
I know, right? Here's this is a first class cabin here. You see how they've tried to conceal the old fashioned porthole behind this wood panel so you can slide back and forth.
I kind of like that actually. If you don't want to be on the ship, you just close the thing and pretend you're not. You know.
If you've ever been on a ship that's even slightly contemporary to this is much nicer than what you get.
It's really nice. Yeah.
I was once on a ship for the Hurtigruten line in Norway. It was the MS.
Also, I think we may have lost Liam. I'm not hearing Liam feedback.
You did not lose Liam. Liam is eating and muted himself to not be impolite.
Perfect. No worries.
Yeah, I ate a burger and a sausage, and let me walk you through it. I have a pretzel bun, got a nice chuck patty, got some American cheese, some nice pickles, mayonnaise, ketchup, and I had a hot Italian sausage on a hot dog bun with some nice spicy mustard. But yeah, I'm gonna go back to finishing this bitch, and you two talk amongst yourselves.
I'm probably gonna do like lamb burgers later. Well, I say I'm not cooking shit. That's a Sunray Minor thing, you know.
I was once on a Norwegian ship, the MS Njordstjernen.
Yeah, you're on the Njordstjernen with the Hugenbjørgen line.
Yes, which is about 10 years newer than this one. And let me tell you, those cabins, Spartan.
That's just Nordic restraint and design, you know.
This is true. Well, we'll get to that later in this episode.
This is sort of like Meridian Italian excess, right?
Yes, they made it too nice. That was their downfall.
Yeah, their hubris.
Here's the first class lounge and bar.
Ooh, that's really nice.
That's some Mad Men shit right there.
That's I'm gonna have a fucking secret meeting about some stay behind networks in this thing.
Look at the espresso machine too.
Oh my god. I didn't espresso machines were like brand new too, like just invented.
Yeah, they probably didn't pull very good shots, huh?
No, atrocious. Yeah. James Hoffman is on the Andrea Doria. He's doing the little like coffee sips, and he's like very dissatisfied.
Yeah, he's give me a hand pull machine, please.
yeah. The original espresso machine is just the robot bartender hastily bandaged up using like a cafetiere.
Yes. This is another first class. This is the first class lounge as a whole.
See, again, this looks so good. This is 100% like, because this is just barely post-fascist aesthetics, right? This is all of the same guys who had come through the war designing fucking Mussolini's EUR and shit, and now they finally get to like put more than one curve in stuff. And they've just kind of gone overboard with it, so to speak.
I will say that it does feel like there's a strong disconnect between like Italian futurism and Italian modernist aesthetics. You know, there something snapped. It got very different very quickly.
The futurist cruise ship is a very different vibe. That's you know, the espresso machine pulls you a shot full of nails. Actually, the robot bartender is kind of more of a futurist invention, I would say.
This is true, especially if it murders you. For more discussion about futurism, listen to our bonus episode about Nazi super weapons.
Yeah, absolutely do.
Yes.
Fascism, it's a sort of dialectic between revolutionary futurism on the one hand and sort of sentimentality and kitsch on the other.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned Giulio Minnelletti was the architect
back.
of design.
Nazi futures. Nazis can suck shit. Back-to-back World War champs.
Just going
bursting in, guns drawn, pants around my ankles, mayonnaise and ketchup on my in my beard.
Yeah, you were about to like shit that burger back out on Marinetti's grave, I feel.
Now listen, when the robot bartender finds out you were a partisan in the 40s, things are not going to go well for you.
Yeah, it's just sort of like throwing my drink over the robot bartender, and as it's dying, it just starts singing Giovinezza.
So we mentioned architect Giulio Minnelletti. I said I mentioned the Settebello. I got to bring a train in here. This was another one he designed.
That's really nice.
They just restored one of these. You can go to Italy and take a ride on it. You can sit in the cabin in the front with the Italian restaurant drapes. Yeah.
See, that's fantastic. Even if I do think that it accidentally provides an example of what I was talking about, in that having Italian restaurant curtains at like 100 miles an hour is in itself like the marriage of futurism and kitsch. I love this thing. It looks like fucking. It looks like Thunderbird 2.
I would say they were good for like 120 or 130. They were designed for the Directissimo, which was the line from, I want to say, Rome to Florence. I'm not sure if
Italian,
it was Rome to Florence. The Directissimo was a sort of a prototype for high-speed rail in Europe.
I think
it was.
I think now that Italy is perhaps the most country in Europe.
They got good words for everything.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
So yeah, go to Italy and ride the Settebello ETR 300, because you can. Anyway, back to the boat.
So, yeah, go to Italy, ride the Settebello, and the proceeds of you doing so go to ensuring that the only commercial you hear on this podcast is this one.
Yay.
So Andrea Doria had a big problem, right? Despite all this fantastic design.
Yeah, I had a problem. Despite the fact that it was built by Italians, it was built by Italians.
It was unfortunately built by Italians.
It's like that joke about, in heaven the waiters are French or whatever. This thing has advantages and disadvantages. Advantages designed by Italians. Disadvantages built by Italians.
Yes. So it had some seaworthiness issues, right? I want to say it was a little bit top heavy, right? And it had a tendency to list a lot. Anything that hit the ship on the side, like a big wave, would cause it to, just rock back and forth pretty wildly. And it was accentuated when the ship was low on fuel, such as maybe at the end of a trip.
Yeah, because it has the fuel tanks lined down either side.
Yes, and on her maiden voyage from Genoa to New York, she had bad weather just out of New York Harbor, listed a full 28 degrees.
Ooh,
here is the angle up here. That's 28 degrees.
So your modern cruise ship is not supposed to list more than like 3 or 4 degrees, right? Otherwise, everyone shits themselves.
It's definitely not something that would be within a modern design envelope, right? And this, even back then, it was designed to be able to withstand a list of 20 degrees, after which, if the ship were compromised somehow, the water would overflow the top of the watertight compartments and start flooding the other watertight compartments, right?
No.
As long as the ship wasn't compromised, okay, it'll hit 28 degrees. Everyone's going to be unhappy. Some furniture's going to move around. Maybe someone falls off, but whatever, the ship is still seaworthy, right? But if it were compromised in some way and it listed that far, you got a real big problem.
Noted.
Yes. So
now we've got to talk about a second ship.
We got to talk about
second ship has hit the ship.
a second ship. So MS Stockholm. Now MS is in contrast.
That's not beautiful at all.
Oh, the ship of my people.
Floating IKEA looking ass.
The ship of my people.
So MS is in contrast to SS. SS is steamship. MS is motor ship, right? And MS Stockholm was kind of ill-fated from the beginning, right? So in 1936, the Swedish-American line,
please no,
also known as...
Yes, say it.
I'm trying to
take a run up. Take a run up.
We need to get Mia Mulder back to pronounce it.
Do you think we could ask her to record like a quick audio file of her saying it?
Yep. Yeah.
Rederiaktiebolaget Sverige Nordamerika.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
You can suck that shit, Grandpapa Oz. What was his name? Olaf. Grandpapa Olaf.
So they had a few old ships, and they wanted some new ones for the burgeoning transatlantic trade in the 30s, which confused me because I thought that was the Depression. Anyway.
Well, because Sweden's, like, by the end of the 30s, Sweden's staying neutral in the war, so...
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Hi, it's Justin. So this is a commercial for the podcast that you're already listening to. People are annoyed by these, so let me get to the point. We have this thing called Patreon, right? The deal is you give us $2 a month, and we give you an extra episode once a month. Sometimes it's a little inconsistent, but, it's $2. You get what you pay for. It also gets you our full back catalog of bonus episodes, so you can learn about exciting topics like guns, pickup trucks, or pickup trucks with guns on them. The money we raise through Patreon goes to making sure that the only ad you hear on this podcast is this one. Anyway, that's something to consider if you have $2 to spare each month. Join at patreon.com/WTYP pod. Do it if you want. Or don't. It's your decision, and we respect that. Back to the show. So they placed an order with Cantieri Riuniti del Adriatico. It's a shipyard in Trieste, right?
Yeah. Doing great, bud.
I don't know how to pronounce any of these things, and I'm not going to learn.
Attaboy.
So they want a new ship called the MS Stockholm 2. Because there was already a Stockholm, but it was kind of
just invented a Stockholm 2?
Yes. So
new Stockholm just dropped.
New Stockholm just dropped. It was I said here in the notes it was not large. It was actually a pretty large ship. I didn't update. Anyway, so it's a good sized ship. It was very modern, had diesel engines, it had Art Deco styling, it had latest safety accoutrements, 638 feet long, 83-foot beam. Beam is the width, 38 feet of draught, right? Anyway, so the shipyard finished it, and they launched it in 1938, and it immediately caught fire.
The ship of my people.
And that was a total loss.
I just heard of the existence of like Viking funeral ships and was like, I'm going to do that to me.
It's me.
Yes. It was around this time that they started painting their ships all white, and they were informally referred to as the White Viking Fleet, including the ships self-immolating. So undeterred, Swedish-American Lines ordered a new ship to basically the same design. That was MS Stockholm 3.
MS Stockholm final _final.
Much like Salt and Pepper 3. Don't ask what happened to 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So MS Stockholm 3 was completed in 1941, but the problem was there was a war happening, right? So rather than deliver the ship to Swedish American Lines, the Italians decided to use it as a troop ship, the MS Sabadia. Sabadia? I don't know.
Mm.
Anyway. So, and she was blown up and then sunk by the RAF in 1944.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Get it.
Yeah.
So this left a problem for Swedish American Lines, right? They needed a new ship. Air travel was proving more popular. And they were like, I don't know if this passenger stuff is going to work out for us guys. So they decided.
Yeah, it's this or like interchangeable furniture.
Yes, exactly. So
$5 end tables, baby.
MS Stockholm 4 was laid
final
down.
final.
Was laid down in April 1945 at Götaverken Shipyard in Gothenburg, right?
Gothenburg, Jesus.
Gothenburg. I'm not Swedish.
Göteborg? I don't know.
Stop it.
It's 525 foot length, 69 foot beam, 25
Nice.
feet of
Sauce.
draught.
Weak
Right.
sauce.
Yeah. So had two giant 8-cylinder diesel engines that made 12,000 horsepower, cruised at 17 knots.
Weak shit. It's like 20 miles an hour.
It was simultaneously the smallest liner on the transatlantic route and the largest ship ever built in Sweden.
Oh. And this after they've lost like 100-something feet off of the length.
Yes. Yeah, but they built it in-house, and this one didn't have problems.
This is the problem. You got to stop getting Italians to build your ships.
Mm-hmm. So, all right.
It's going to take its revenge on Italy for its fallen brothers.
Yes. Here's the first class lounge. This is from ssmaritime.com, run by a man named Ruben Goosens.
Nice. I don't like this as much. This looks boring. It's like
It
a
is definitely
4-star hotel that's kind of aged.
The bar seems to be more fully stocked, though.
That is true.
This is
yeah.
actually this is the tourist class smoking room.
Nice.
They had an indoor pool, which is very tiny.
You fools! You can't let water in here. This is a boat. It's supposed to be outside.
This reminds me of that. What was the really, really big Soviet submarine that had an indoor pool?
Oh yeah. It's one of the like Akulas, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's about that size.
You can get wet. You can't swim.
Sure. Go for a
Yes.
little dip. Go for a little dip.
The problem with the Stockholm was that the transatlantic passenger trade did not fade as quickly as they expected. It was refit in 1953 to carry 548 people. They
They're
added
like,
a
we
whole
gotta
bunch
keep doing this shit.
Forever.
Shit.
They just want to build furniture.
They refit the ship in 1953 to add more passenger cabins. 1955, it had the ignominious honor of deporting the last immigrant from Ellis Island.
Huh.
Because Ellis
Terrific.
Island, after 1921, was used as a detention center for illegal immigrants when the Emergency Quota Act essentially made immigration illegal. Because there were too
people got
many.
scared. There were like too many Italians.
There's too many Italians and Poles.
Mm. It's like the food's getting too good around here.
Too much kielbasa. God damn it.
Oh, Ross makes really good kielbasa. That's not.
Shut it all
euphemism.
down. Shut it all down. We're getting like pierogies and
Yeah,
shit.
we got to make the food worse.
Yeah.
We have to preserve our culture by keeping the food bad. Can't have good food. Anyway, it deported the last immigrant from Ellis Island, who was Arne Pedersen. Maybe just Arne. I'm not sure. He was
Arne Peterson.
Yes, he overstayed his visa. He was a crewman on a Swedish cargo freighter.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. They deported him back to Gothenburg on this ship.
Yeah.
Gothenburg.
But yeah, SAL's Swedish American Lines designed to build a smaller liner was not a good one. They ordered 2 new and larger liners in the late 50s. Those were MS Gripsholm and MS Kungsholm. which
don't those names just fill you with the spirit of adventure?
Yes, which were notably both built by Ansaldo in Genoa, right? They ordered those in the late 50s, right? And they consigned Stockholm to sort of marginal routes and for cruises, right? But that was after the incident, and this is going to become relevant.
Oh, no. The incident.
Oh boy.
Stockholm, the MS Stockholm had a reputation for, it was a rough riding ship in bad weather, but it was very seaworthy. And owing to her home port being in Gothenburg, she had a reinforced ice-breaking prow, right?
Yeah, just in case you run into any ice.
Exactly.
No Titanic shit gonna happen on my watch.
No Titanic shit happening to MS Stockholm. Meanwhile, we have the Andrea Doria, right? She's on her 51st crossing.
I tried to find a good map of this route. Could not. It's just a straight line, more or less.
Right.
Started in Cannes, went to Naples, then Gibraltar, and then to New York, which is way over there. If you imagine there's a map of Europe here, right?
Yeah. And we have our captain, Piero Calamai, who in the notes everywhere, apart from where I have written it, it says Captain Calamari. Yes.
Yeah, which we will be referring to him.
It was just easier to write it that way.
So Captain Calamari, he's 59 years old. He's from a naval family, long experience in the merchant marine. He served on 27 different ships before he gets this job. He's been a naval veteran in like both world wars. And he's kind of sort of like the Italian merchant marine's golden boy a little bit. Like after this crossing, he's going to take a vacation and then he's going to take command of Christopher Columbus, or Cristoforo Colombo, which is the flagship of the Italian merchant marine. Sort of like a sister ship to this.
Yeah, he's good at his job.
Yeah, he's a safe pair of hands.
Although being a decorated veteran of World War II for the bad guys is not
good. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what you gonna do?
Yeah, well, he managed to get through both of them without getting killed by the RAF. So
yeah, that's true. He was the only one.
I suppose.
Yeah.
So we got to talk a little bit about the transatlantic sea lanes, especially heading into New York at this point, right? Because you want to take the shortest route possible, right? That means you take a sort of as close as possible to a Great Circle route, but you have to avoid sort of navigational hazard, right?
Sure.
Big one is the Nantucket Shoals.
I see the big markers on the map that say "not for navigation" and "area to be avoided."
Area to be avoided. Yeah.
Yeah. Go Patriots, baby. Go Pats. 6 Super Bowls, baby.
Yes. The thing is, if you
area
go
to be
in
avoided
here,
because they will try and deflate your boat.
Every NFL quarterback did that. That is hardly Tom Brady acting alone. That's bullshit, and we all know it. Okay. The NFL and Roger Goodell specifically went after Deflategate in quotes, or Ballghazi if you prefer, because of the videotaping scandal for which the rest of the NFL believed that he had not been nearly punished enough. Now, keep in mind that all teams, Ballghazi. Yeah, Ballghazi. That's an old
ball torture from Wikipedia.
No, not the whole thing again. Okay.
This area was particularly hazardous to airships.
Good. Why? Because it kept deflating?
Yeah, giant Tom Brady emerges from the sea.
I have to grip it better.
The Kraken rises.
Water prevents migraines. I hunger for blood.
That's some of my like. You can't be an NFL quarterback without believing at least one piece of weird shit, one insane theory. That's one of my favorite ones going.
He believes so much insane shit that he became the greatest quarterback in NFL history.
Never count out touchdown Tom.
Yes. So, because everyone wants to take this Great Circle route, which has the least distance and is therefore faster and uses less fuel, they want to get as close to the Nantucket Shoals as possible, but you can't touch them because then you run aground, right?
And rich people spit on you too.
This is true. Well, there's rich people on the boats too.
Yeah, it's just spit going back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. The Nantucket Shoals, they extend like I wrote it down here. I didn't write it down here. They're like 40 miles south of Nantucket, and then like another.
Yeah, it's like going for a while.
Yeah. And this is all like shallows and sandbanks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The ocean area is as little as 3 feet deep.
Yeah.
Right.
And one of the things worth noting too is that Bill Russell was the greatest person to ever put on an NBA jersey. This is me just settling beef. First person to have his jersey retired. Fuck the Lakers.
So your general rule for navigation here is you want to
don't all caps.
Yeah.
Don't
you want to pass south and east of something called the Nantucket Lightship. Right.
Oh, I love a light ship.
Yeah,
pictured here. So you know you want to come as close as possible to it, but you don't want to go north of it. Don't do that. You're gonna have problems, right? But of course, everyone wanted to get as close as possible to it. So it was traditionally kind of a hazardous job to man the Nantucket Lightship.
Yeah, because RMS Olympic is gonna eat your lunch and kill you.
Yes, 1934 RMS Olympic just ran straight into it and annihilated it.
Yeah, assassination. Yeah.
Like Kennedy on PT 109, this thing just comes out of the middle of the night, just.
Yes.
Listen, they hate Tom Brady and they hate success and they're just jealous. I say as I'm cleaved in two by RMS Olympic.
It wasn't even damaged. Olympic wasn't even damaged.
To the big boat, motherfucker.
Yeah. LV 117 was it sank in like 5 minutes.
Brutal.
I think like 5 guys out of the 11 survived though, so that it's.
I'm surprised Olympic didn't hear them, given that they're all talking about Patriots football.
Yeah.
Mac Jones is the real deal, is what I'm saying.
At that exact volume.
He's a good quarterback.
On the bridge, there's like, you hear something about Tom Brady?
So, of course, the crews and officers of the Andrea Doria and the Stockholm knew about this lightship, right?
Yeah.
They're not going north of this. No one's running aground today, but they do want to get as close as possible to it. So, in this case, I think I put this later in the notes, but I'm going to say it now. The Stockholm was coming up sort of this way in relation to this map, which doesn't extend that far. Andrea Doria is coming up somewhat this way, right? The Stockholm is supposed to be about 20 miles south of here. That's the generally agreed upon and established shipping lane. But no one followed that rule. They got as close as they could and just, went past each other. And it's like, all right, well, usually we have separation of about a mile, right? So, all right. I already started explaining the problem before I mentioned the date, which is 25th of July, 1956. Right? So, as I mentioned, the Andrea Doria is nearing port. They only got about 12 hours of steaming to go. And the Stockholm had just left New York just before noon that day, just about 12 hours out of port, right? They're both in the narrow shipping lane below the Nantucket Lightship, right?
Yeah, I tried finding a map of these like agreed shipping tracks, but you Google North Atlantic Track Agreement, all you get is the air ones.
Oh my God. No one cares about boats anymore.
History just obliterated by air travel, yeah.
Mm-hmm. A fog rolled in. It was night. No one could see anything, but that didn't matter. Both the Andrea Doria and the Stockholm had a radar. And the Andrea Doria
1950s, baby. The finest technology designed for like obliterating a medium-sized German city.
Yes.
Dresden had it coming.
Oh yeah, I'm not arguing with you.
But who gets mad at me? Shut up.
This is the episode where the most people are going to get mad at us.
That's
I don't
true.
care. I'm not reading the comments on this one.
Chiefly the FBI, but
Yes. For my hydrogen bomb, which I have.
Which he has. Get him. Alex, play the drop.
I've built it during the course of this episode.
oh god, yeah, you've just been doing that the whole time.
Yes.
You've just been talking about fucking tracks and
FBI, open up!
listen. If you just hear a shotgun being racked and then your door just explodes, that's keep podcasting. You know.
Oh god, he's dead.
I've been killed by your drop. Anyway, so both the Andrea Doria and the Stockholm had a radar. The Andrea Doria, Captain Calamari, had slowed down to 22 knots from the usual speed of 23 knots.
Just like easing off on the accelerator a little bit.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't go so fast, guys. And our radar systems, they're very much in the early days, right? Some captains and mates and so on and so forth are very much in the, they view this technology in the sort of way that, how do I open PDF?
Right. Radar's not at all intuitive is the other thing. Like, in particular, radar direction finding, you can get, like, understanding how to plot, like, courses off of echoes on radar is, like, really fucking difficult. That's why you have to train people to use it.
And the Stockholm was being piloted by the third mate, Johan Ernst Karstens Johansson.
A man who loved a hyphen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, first name Johannes Ernst, second name Karstens Johansson.
He might not like the hyphen.
Yes.
He might have just been
from Wisconsin.
that name.
Yeah. This is his first time standing watch alone on the bridge. He's also been up since 0600 this morning.
Yes. And as I mentioned before, Stockholm was about 20 miles north of where it should have been to save time on the crossing. And this was illegal, but also very tolerated and expected.
Sure.
This is like a
don't
normal
get caught
procedure.
doing it sort of deal.
Don't get caught. And so what happened here was actually never fully determined, but several factors were in play, right? The Andrea Doria, as we mentioned, not very seaworthy. When it was low on fuel, it tended to list a lot, right? But also, if you pump in more, what you were supposed to do, as the fuel ran out, you pumped seawater into the fuel tanks to continue to ballast the ship, right? But that made refueling more expensive. So the informal procedure was, just don't do that, right?
Sure.
Makes the ship more unstable, but it's fine.
It's probably fine. What's going to happen?
Gonna eat it.
Yeah,
Gonna
both of
eat it
these
real
ships
bad.
probably should have been traveling more slowly owing to the fog. The Stockholm's captain should have been on deck owing to the fog, but there are disputes over the extent of the fog that night. Karstens Johansson maintained that it was a pretty clear night, while Captain Calamari said it was pretty thick fog, right?
I am pretty certain that Karstens Johansson is lying here. I did see some evidence to the extent, like that some of the charts that the Stockholm was using had been falsified after the fact to change its position.
Jesus Christ!
That sounds about right to me.
That's terrific. And bad. Don't do that.
I'm on the Andrea Doria side. I'm just gonna.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna say that now. I think Captain Calamari was.
It's Italian month, we have to be partisan about this, so to speak.
So as these two ships are approaching each other, right? Karstens Johansson followed orders from his captain not to pass within 1 mile of any ship, right? And he saw the Andrea Doria on the radar, and he turned to port, which is not standard procedure. And Calamari turned starboard, as was the standard procedure. And neither of the two were talking to each other on the radio.
Great. Fantastic. I have a little plot here of the courses. This is from an analysis from a guy called Carl Nordling, who suggests that Carsten Johansson, he's expecting to see ships on essentially the wrong side because of the light ship.
Right.
And like essentially what he does is he, like, in a more mathematical sense, he looks at his radar and he mixes up his left and his right.
Who's amongst us?
Yeah, he adds when he should be subtracting or something like that. And so he turns into the path of the Andrea Doria. At this point, and this is why I suspect there is quite heavy fog, they see each other at the last second. Stockholm tries to stop. Andrea Doria tries to outrun the collision. So, you go flank speed or whatever, and you just try and like get out of the way of it. And this does not work.
I think one thing to note here is that Stockholm is both much slower and much smaller than the Andrea Doria.
Yes, yeah. It's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
throwing yourself in the way of this thing. Here we go. Yes. So
they wreck into each other.
Yes. Boats fall down, Mr.
Yeah.
Bond. So remember that ice breaking prow that we talked about?
Yes.
Well, that just runs straight into, as you can see here, A, B, C, foyer, and upper deck. So 5 passenger decks. And it's like a knife through butter.
Right.
Yes.
All of the casualties are people getting crushed in their cabins. The cabins just don't exist anymore. And it's sort of more or less at random based on sort of the relative position of the prow.
Apparently, Jesus, this guy's wife is getting turned into chunky marinara.
Yeah. This is a guy, Colonel Carlin, I think his name is. He steps into the bathroom to brush his teeth. The Stockholm rams into the Andrea Doria, mulches his wife, who is in bed, and he's just fine.
No thanks.
He just doesn't have a scratch on him. One woman gets like crushed between 2 sets of walls and takes a while to die, but by and large, people just don't know anything about it. They're asleep.
There's
like
one,
3 a.m.
There's one, I want to say, 14-year-old girl who winds up, the bottom half of her cabin gets crushed, and she winds up just falling onto the deck of the Stockholm.
Yeah. And like this hits
she
into
lived,
the
right,
like,
and it was okay, right?
Oh, she had a broken arm, but her sister, who was sharing the other half of the cabin, was turned into pasta sauce.
Yeah. This also hits a lot of the cheaper cabins in tourist class, which are very. You have lots of like immigrant families who are packed closer together and just get obliterated. I think there's one cabin that has like 11 people and a priest in it, and is just gone. This kills something like 43 people outright.
Just absolutely obliterated.
Yeah. Now, in sort of in structural terms, what you've actually done to the Andrea Doria here, you've only punctured one watertight compartment. It has 11. But what you've also done is you've punctured that whole line of empty fuel tanks, which now flood very, very quickly. And the list happens. The list that we all know and love, which does exactly what it's not supposed to do. It drags the ship over to the point where the tops of the watertight compartments are under the waterline, and the ship like floods end to end. There's also no watertight door separating the generator room from the rest of the deck, so the electricity goes out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So what do you do about this? And the answer is, well, panic is one thing, but also you want to flood the fuel tanks on the opposite side to try and like ballast them, so it like balances out a bit more. But it's happened so quickly that already that side is so far out of the water that the intakes for those tanks are just like hanging out in the air. And at that point, the ship's doomed, like irrevocably. It's gonna sink.
You got an issue here, which is very hard to resolve.
Yes.
Yes.
And we can see how the Stockholm came out of it. Looks jacked up.
It looks really bad. It looks a lot worse than the Andrea Doria did after the impact, honestly.
Yeah, but it's fine. It's like one compartment floods. It comes down by the bow a few inches, but they're able to like compensate and ballast for that. But it's fine. It's seaworthy. Naval ramming is still a viable tactic. Who knew?
Yeah, you can just hit stuff. I mean, I think it killed like 4 crew people on the Stockholm though.
Yeah, we don't really have like cabins up front like that.
Yeah.
So
I have no face, and I must float.
Yes.
yeah. Incidentally, the Stockholm and the Andrea Doria only find out who each other are when they hear each other's distress calls.
Help.
Hey, asshole, where's the other 30% of my boat?
yeah. All the Italian guys are like getting out in a little boat and waving their arms around.
I was very, very mad. What if
You ruined my spaghetti. My brother, Danilo, he's been turned into spaghetti. I'm getting canceled.
Normally I would be crushed for being Italian.
what if a Swede rammed an Italian man?
We should take you to a club in Stockholm. You can see it for yourself.
Yeah, I'm do some
fine.
videos about that.
I'm fine.
Here we go. Yes. Okay. So they know they have to abandon ship, but the captain doesn't want to go abandon ship and have everyone panic and, run around breaking each other's legs, tripping over shit. So he has everyone muster and they try to figure out how the fuck are we going to get this evacuation done when we've only got half the lifeboats, because the other half are stuck in the air at the top of a sort of 20-degree angle of steel.
Yes.
You can't like drop them down that.
I hate to interrupt, but I have one more joke about a Swede ramming an Italian, which is, you're stimulating my Schengen area. Okay, continue.
Yeah, my Eurozone.
Oh my God.
The initial plan is you take those lifeboats on the starboard side, the ones that are lower down, and you lower them to the promenade deck, break all the windows, and everyone can just like step in. This doesn't work.
Oh.
In fact, what they end up doing is lowering the lifeboats all the way into the water and then trying to lower the passengers down into them using ropes and ladders.
Don't like that. No.
This
3
kills...
a.m., right?
Yeah. And it's still foggy as shit. This also kills 3 more people. A woman has a heart attack. A kid gets dropped headfirst into a lifeboat.
Oh, Jesus.
And a woman falls into one and breaks her spine. Thus arriving at our final death toll of 46. Even in this sort of initial evacuation, they only get like 200 people off, and most of them are the crew.
Another aspect of the sinking is it takes a very long time. I mean, much longer even than the Titanic, which took a very long time.
Right.
Longer than you'd imagine the sort of like design spec would allow for, considering.
Yes.
So Andrea Doria is calling anyone they can find for more lifeboats, and this is the successful bit of the evacuation. Not at first, like the Stockholm is still too worried about sinking themselves to send help. A freighter turns up, but they only have 2 lifeboats. No one could see anything. But unlike the Titanic, like a lot of ships come to the site of the collision very quickly.
Yes.
The biggest determinant is Île-de-France, which is a big honking French liner, has just left New York for Le Havre.
Somehow miraculously survived the war.
Yeah. And when they hear the first distress call, the captain doesn't really want to go, because in a sort of echo of the Titanic, he doesn't think a modern ship can just sink like that. And if they do go and it's nothing and the Italians are just being hysterical, they have to go back to New York, refuel again, and start over again, and everyone's going to be mad at them. But they hear the other distress calls. Eventually, they
fine.
Yeah, fine. Just tell you, go to the fucking thing.
Show up just as the fog clears and say, "Oh, we are the French."
Apparently, this is like a huge heroic moment for the like survivors. Is the fog clears and you see this huge French ship with all the lights on, covered in lifeboats, and you're just like, "Oh, okay, I'm not going to die." And they take off the other 700 so passengers. One thing I like about this is I've mentioned this before. So we talked about how Captain Calamari was a veteran of both World Wars on the Italian side. During the Second World War, the Italian Navy Supreme Command had to issue an order to its captains saying, you don't have to go down with a ship.
Yes, I do.
if your ship gets sunk,
you don't have to go down with the ship,
and everyone else makes it off, you can just step off of the thing and get rescued.
Yes.
We need you alive more.
I love the idea of like a captain, like having seen the last of his passengers or his crew off. The bow is descending into the sea, and he's just up there, both middle fingers raised.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's also like 15 feet of water, so it's like a little less dramatic than it should be. Just slowly going down.
Yeah. But
No.
This is the thing. Italian captains of the war widely refused that order. They just ignored it. They just like went down with their ships anyway.
Oh, what are they gonna do? Kill me?
Yeah. and Calamari is Calamai. I'll say his name right for this last bit. So Calamai is like, he's of that mold, and he doesn't want to get off the ship. They eventually make him when it's clear it's unsalvageable.
It's like I want to say he was dragged bodily off the ship.
Yes, yeah.
That's a good captain. I mean, obviously he fought for the bad guys, for which we don't applaud, but we do applaud a guy who's just like trying to fight his way to his own death.
Yes, yeah.
I will say there was also an extent to which there was a period of time where it would have been realistic to drag the ship onto the Nantucket Shoals.
Oh, sure.
Prevent it from sinking, but you would have to get a tugboat there real fucking quick.
This ruins the sea for Calamai, by the way. In sort of an echo of the Titanic, get them into the boats thing. His last words when he dies, 16 years later, are all the passengers safe? Like, it's still in his head. It just like it ends his career more or less. And it just sort of like destroys something that had been the focus of his entire life.
That's a shame.
Yeah. On the other hand, he was a Nazi for a while. Or perhaps not a Nazi, but a fascist at least.
Right. So
He is a reformed fascist, though.
probably not,
true.
but it's okay.
Probably not reformed, but like he wasn't actively doing fascism. He was just
We don't know
gassing the
that. We
ship.
can't know that.
That's a good
I will
point,
dig him up, and years have led him.
You're gonna do a cadaver synod
Yeah.
on Captain Cal.
Yeah, Captain Calamari. People are gonna get real. We're just gonna get a flood of those. Why don't you respect the dead comments? Like, they're dead. What are they gonna do? Fight back? No.
Yeah, shouldn't have been a piece of shit while you were alive.
It's not good because some of the people who survived this accident are still alive.
Yeah. Well, someone got mad at us like a couple weeks ago for the Texas City explosion. I was just
if you survived
mate.
this sinking, get mad at us in the comments.
Yeah, honestly.
If you are an Andrea Doria survivor,
Yeah,
and you're mad at us, that's fine. I respect
We'll
that.
take that. Yeah. All right, so it tips over.
It tips over. It takes a good 12 hours to actually go down, and almost everyone, other than the 3 people who were killed during the evacuation, everyone who was not killed in the initial impact made it off the ship.
Yeah, it's a good evacuation apart from the initial part.
It's actually, I think it shows how much safer ocean liners were by the 1950s.
And it's by having that like systematization of distress calls and coming to aid of ships in distress.
Yes. And like, I feel like in a way this is sort of, we talk about engineering disasters, but I feel like the Andrea Doria sinking is a testament to like how much better safety procedures got that you could get 1,200, just under 1,200 people off a ship.
Yeah.
Right.
Certainly.
And getting
almost everyone
split
lived.
like a piece of lumber is not something you're normally planning for.
Getting split in half by a boat that's 1/3
Not
your
a reinforced
size.
icebreaker bow. Yeah.
Yeah, and you keep everybody out of the water. Everyone has lifeboats. It's good. It's well done. Also, the photographer who took this picture, got the Pulitzer Prize for it because he took it from a plane. I think not even a helicopter, a small plane.
This was the first and only ocean liner sinking that was on television. This shocked the world. Like, oh my God, this is the reality of an ocean liner sinking.
Yeah, and everyone's like, we got to start flying now, which is at this point way more dangerous.
That probably bad. Yeah, that was bad for the Earth. Personally, more safe, maybe, but generally bad. We fucked up.
Yes, yeah. I have one little detail here that I added, which is another victim of the Andrea Doria. It also killed a car.
Ironic.
Yes. So Andrea Doria had a 50-car garage on board, including this one-of-a-kind prototype, the Chrysler Norseman.
Murdered by the MS Stockholm.
I know. The Norse, they love killing each other. If you look at the windows, they don't have pillars. They don't have A or B pillars. It just has this like long cantilevered roof. It's this incredible design. And it was never pursued after this. Chrysler never tried anything like this. It was built by Ghia in Italy. They sent it on to Chrysler on the Andrea Doria, and it went down with it. And now it is like 4 wheels at the bottom of the ocean. Everything else is like just evaporated, more or less.
Certain kinds of steel don't hold up good to salt water, and this is one of them.
Yeah, shame.
Meanwhile, the Stockholm
escaping from the scene of the crime. Yeah, it looks hungry now. It looks like
it's but a flesh wound.
So, but as you can see, it's not being towed. It makes New York under its own power.
That's the power of diesel engines right there.
Yeah, carrying a load of survivors, as Ile-de-France is. You get an absolute media circus in New York City. You get photographers harassing families waiting for news of their loved ones. You get like photo ops of department stores donating clothing to people who don't need it. Most notably, you have the actress Ruth Norman, who had played a woman in a movie waiting for news of her kid who's in a plane crash, and her real actual kid was on the fucking Andrea Doria. So you had photographers fighting each other trying to get photos of her while she like does the thing from the movie. Her real kid did survive, I believe, but it's fully a circus.
Yeah, it's testament to the shipbuilders at Gothenburg.
Yeah. we built a raiding ship again by accident.
Yeah. And after this is like the process of determining fault, which was very bad. So who caused this accident? In order to determine the legal process for who caused this accident, we need to recall something we mentioned earlier in the episode. Swedish American Lines was in a little bit of a pickle, right? Because they had just ordered 2 brand new ships, just ordered and took delivery of 2 brand new ships, in fact, from Ansaldo in Genoa, right? The MS Gripsholm, pictured here, and the MS Kungsholm, right? Which was, they were both built by Ansaldo, same builder, the Andrea Doria. And so they were,
what are you going to sue the guy who's building your new boats to be like, why'd you sell me a shitty boat?
Yeah, there was like there's a couple of clear like routes to say, well, we shouldn't be responsible for all these damages because the Andrea Doria was improperly engineered, right? There's a couple of clear and known deficiencies in the Andrea Doria, and there was a legal route that you could have pursued there, but you also ordered those ships.
Right, that's a suicide mission.
Ships.
So, my brother in Christ, you also ordered the ships.
So this line of attack in court just simply failed to materialize. A lot of people were like scheduled to testify, and Italian Lines and Swedish American Lines settled out of court.
Yeah, you don't want like the image of a protracted court battle. You want it to go away.
Yeah, they ate their losses. Both lines ate their losses very disproportionately as well, because the Italian lines wind up paying out like $50 million to replace the ship and the families of the victims and the replacing property, and Swedish American Lines pays $2 million to replace the bow of the Stockholm.
And that's it. And incidentally, they replaced the bow of the Stockholm quite poorly.
It was done at Bethlehem Shipbuilders. I forget exactly where. I don't know where the Bethlehem.
Yeah, they just get the Americans to do it.
Yes.
You're welcome.
We'll get there.
There was no blame that was ever fully placed, but the general vibe was that Captain Calamari did it, right? You know, he was.
We gotta stop calling this man Captain Calamari.
Well, he was said to be, he was speeding. His ship was not ballasted properly. There may have been a watertight door missing, which is a disputed thing, right? And so he lost his job and he never sailed the ship again. And the actual cause is still very much disputed.
Nah, I blame the Swedish guy. Hans-Jürgen Svensson.
It's definitely the Swedish guy, yeah.
Oh.
There was a study at the Merchant Marine Academy which suggested that third mate Karstens Johansson misread his radar. It was on a 5-mile setting and not a 15-mile setting as he thought. So the ship was much closer than he thought he was. And if they had just installed a light bulb above the radar, it would have solved the issue. But the big thing is we don't know. Everyone really covered their asses on this one.
Do some wild speculation in the replies. Give me some conspiracy theories about this.
Give me some conspiracy theories about the Andrea Doria, because
right after you're done canceling us.
Yes.
Very, very early instance of Operation Gladio.
The other thing is the wreck, even now that it's at the bottom of the sea, it continues to kill.
Oh yeah, it hungers for blood. This thing, it's been called the Everest of scuba diving. Because it's in a very awkward position, but for a long time it was imagined to have a lot of valuable shit on there. People thought, all of those safes, those have got to be like full of jewelry from like rich heiresses and shit. It doesn't, but what it does have is a series of characteristics. It's very deep, so you have to do mixed gas and you have to do multiple stage decompression. It's very, very easy to stir up sediment, at which point your visibility goes to 0. It's covered in fishing nets and wire that just snag anything on you. And it's also in an area of very strong currents that are essentially like tearing the wreck apart, which not only like fucks with your visibility, but it also makes it quite an unstable wreck to dive. Like there's no safe wreck to dive into, but much less one that is sort of like actively falling or being torn apart. Like your access points are changing all the time. By reputation, it's a very difficult ship. It's killed 22 divers.
Wow.
Eventually, it's going to kill more people than it killed when it sank.
We're getting there. It mostly has drowned them, sometimes by decompression sickness. Weirdly, almost all of them die trying to get china off of it, like
you don't need
cups.
plates that bad.
Yeah, just as like a prestige thing. And it's like, no, leave the cups alone. They've salvaged all of the like important bits with more successful expeditions as they've taken all the bells and the foghorns and shit off. They did open all of the safes and they found a bunch of like old bearer bonds and shit like that, but nothing really as exciting as they hoped they would.
It's interesting they call it the Everest of scuba diving, because it reminds me of Everest in the way that like it's more accessible to rich people than you might think.
Yeah, it's just accessible enough to be dangerous.
It's just accessible enough that like rich people will get themselves killed on it.
Yes, yeah,
that's
absolutely. Yeah,
that's
true.
Right. That's true. We critical support for wreck of the Andrea Doria.
That's right.
And then the Stockholm.
Oh yes,
it's still sailing.
Yeah,
it's unkillable.
they towed the ship out of the environment.
The boat of my people.
Yes,
and then they put the front back on.
Yes.
For a while, it was in East Germany as Völkerfreundschaft, friendship between nations, where it was one of the ships that tried to run the embargo during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Then it went to the Norwegians, who tried to use it as a floating prison for asylum seekers because we love social democracy.
Yes.
After that, it was rebuilt into a cruise ship. Apparently, the most difficult part of that was the shitty bow that the Americans put on it, which wasn't as good as the rest of it.
Yes.
Hey.
I also added this. They added this ducktail. I want to say it's called on the back here for better.
Kind of like
stability.
it, to be honest.
Yeah, it works.
And it's still in service as a cruise ship.
Yeah, it has been out of service for 2 years now due to COVID-19.
But it still thirsts for blood.
It's invincible.
It sails the seas, hungry.
Both its successors have been scrapped, but it's still there. Because you know what? They built this one in Sweden, and it turns out they know how to build a ship.
If anything, too well.
And they built it too good. Anyway, in 5 years, when this runs into Queen Mary 2.
Oh God!
And destroys it. It'd be like a pin exploding a balloon.
Yeah. Well, what did we learn?
Get the Swedes to build your ships.
Yeah, get the Swedes to build your ships.
Get the Swedes to build your ships, and
build a good ship.
Don't do ship diving.
Yeah, don't do ship diving.
Shell out the extra couple of cents for a light bulb over your displays.
Yes.
Even less now. It's an LED.
If you're gonna sue the Italians, don't buy ships from them.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole like the environment of like buying ships is strange to me.
Oh, it's weird as hell, especially once you get into like yachts and stuff.
They're like all one-offs, and like all of them sink.
Yeah. Well,
once you have one, you may as well write it off immediately.
Andrea Doria. Oh, and I guess we also learned to like maintain a sort of rapid system of saving of life at sea, but whatever.
Yeah, rapid and very effective. The problem is we didn't learn anything from this episode because
it worked too good.
It worked too good. It was a good evacuation. Everyone who wasn't immediately killed, other than the child who was domed, made it off.
and the woman who just fell and like broke her spine.
Yeah.
That woman. Other than that.
Yeah, I think Captain Calamai,
I think.
Calamari.
He was done dirty by the liberal media.
I agree. I agree.
Well, Sioux
These days, he would have a company selling like T-shirts with flags on the sleeve. You know,
it's like this is like the reverse of the Costa Concordia.
Yeah, very, very like good Italian captain who does not want to get off the ship.
Be dragged bodily off the sinking ship 4 hours before it sank properly.
Opposite of Bordo Cazzo.
All right. We have a segment on this podcast called Safety Third.
Shake hands with danger.
Ooh, that's danger.
That is danger. This has been written as Safety Third.
Yeah, I wrote in Safety Third as a joke.
Oh, well, the joke has been acknowledged.
Thank you. I've acknowledged your acknowledgement of the joke.
Congratulations, Alice.
Hello, Alice, Justin, Liam, and any guests.
Wrong.
No guests. Unless we have Mia do a voiceover.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I retract my bzz.
I used to work at a small humane society. I had been filling in as the maintenance guy when I didn't have any other work to do. But eventually, I didn't have time for maintenance stuff anymore. When they finally hired a maintenance guy to deal with things, the main qualification was, we'll work part-time for cheap.
Nice.
Oh, good. That's what we want.
We had 2 washers and 2 dryers. They ran all day to keep up with the dirty laundry from all the animals.
Yeah, animals are gross.
Yeah, they're terrible.
It is funny to call it laundry, though. I mean, I guess it is, but
After constant use, the dryers started squeaking quite loudly. I kept telling my coworkers that the dryers would always squeak from the constant use and the kitty litter and the laundry, but nobody liked that answer and continued to complain to me and the maintenance guy. One morning, I came into work after my day off and everyone asked, "Did you hear about the fire yesterday?"
Okay.
What a way to start. Jesus.
Dryers, right? And if you don't empty the thing, you burn your house down.
Dryers are I think generally a bad idea. Probably shouldn't.
I don't have one. I hang my clothes up to dry, and I miss its absence. But on the other hand, I acknowledge that it is luxury. It is a waste.
I've always found that the issue with dryers is I'm paranoid about house fires. So when I run a large number of appliances like them, I can't leave the house for several hours.
Right.
Yeah, unless you've got sprinklers put in or something.
Dishwashers too. Also the washing machine as well. I mean, all that stuff can catch fire real easy.
I would say that hanging up your clothes to dry is something that is for people who live in beautiful Italian towns where you can just hang it across an alley or something on a line,
This is true, yes. I had an indoor drying rack for a while. It worked fine. It saved me a couple
it's fine. Just
month.
takes up the space though. The space.
Yeah, it's irritating. Oh, mine folded up though. Anyway, one morning I came to work after my day off and everyone asked, "Did you hear about the fire yesterday?" ? Exclamation point, question mark, close quotations.
Thank you, Microsoft Justin.
Yes. I was directed to the maintenance guy who carefully explained that yesterday he got tired of everyone hearing, everyone complaining about the squeaking dryers and decided to fix them. So he grabbed a can of WD-40.
Oh, no.
Because it stops squeaks.
He's right. It does. Unimpeachable, flawless logic.
This is true. He then went to the first running dryer, which is a 240-volt electric dryer. And I know that in Europe, that's normal. Here in America, that requires a special outlet. And he opened the door, took out the clothes, sprayed in the WD-40.
On the inside of the drum.
He said, then it caught fire. I had no idea WD-40 was flammable.
Oh, boy.
What did you think it was? Just vibes?
It displaces water. It's water displacement 40.
Yeah.
Maybe water displacement 39 was what he was more familiar with. And that one wasn't flammable.
Trying to think of a non-flammable way of displacing water with a liquid, yeah.
Sponge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's not a liquid. I'm going to do it. I'm going to invent the liquid sponge.
Yeah, the spray-on sponge.
Yeah, right after I build my hydrogen bomb.
Absorbing radiation with my spray-on sponge coating.
Yes. The maintenance guy then told me that since the dryer was on fire, he ran down the hallway and grabbed a pan of water to throw on the dryer and put it out. You'll note that no part of this story involved unplugging the 240-volt dryer before applying the WD-40 or pouring water on it to put out the fire.
Well, the water thing makes sense to me because if you've got water displacement, what you want to get is your water displacement or water.
Just water, yeah.
Your WDDW 40.
WDD, yes, sure.
After I carefully questioned the maintenance guy, and he looked confused. Why would I need to unplug the dryer? I told him he was lucky he was only regrowing his eyebrows, and then took him for a short walk from the dryer to the sink where he got his pan of water to put out the fire. I used that walk to point out the 4 electric-rated fire extinguishers, including one next to the sink that he had passed up to get his pan of water. After that, the maintenance guy decided not to do any more work on electric stuff without me around to help him do safety checks.
Good man.
Uh-huh.
Great moments in emergency response, you know?
There's no cure for being a dumb guy. We have to protect dumb guys.
Well, there is one permanent cure that this guy nearly experienced.
Nearly experienced. We want to avoid that one.
Yeah.
Get you some safety education, please.
Don't forget your PPE.
Yes.
Know where your fire extinguishers are.
Thank you for all the fun podcasts. And if you need a quick episode, you could do a WTYP on the rise of Scott Walker in Wisconsin politics. It has trains and children being held hostage in bathrooms at the state fair.
Wild.
I know the trains part. I don't know the second part.
We'll look into it. We're investigating this very strongly after Italian month, unless Scott Walker is Italian.
We're gonna have to. We're unfortunately we're gonna have to complete Italian month.
Yeah, get back to us at the end of Italian month, which God knows when that will be. Arrivederci.
Our next episode is on the Genoa molasses disaster.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any commercials before we go?
We have a Patreon. You should subscribe to the commercial that you heard is not the only commercial, because now it's this commercial also. 10,000 Losses, Kill James Bond, Trash Eater. Follow all of us on Twitter, or don't.
Again, a message to the FBI. I'm not actually going to build a hydrogen bomb.
Yes,
I don't know how to do that.
Get him. Kill him. Dominate him.
But I might. No, I'm not going to do it. But I might.
FBI, open up!
All right, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.